WPIAL podcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Our little get together here presented by Edgar Snyder and Associates. Go local, go with Edgar, helping injured people since 1982. Edgar Snyder and Associates sponsoring our playoff coverage and all things playoffs here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Well, we're here to salute our Week 12. I got to go through numerous box scores and everything to try to figure out who our player of the week should be, who our team of the week should be. But some weeks it's a little easier than others, and this was kind of a no-brainer. What a performance for the Laurel Spartans, knocking off two-time defending champion Fort Cherry in a Class A semifinal game on Friday. Brian Cooper, their longtime head coach, is kind enough to join me as we salute the Spartans as our team of the week. Brian, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, before we get going, it's also an official happy birthday to you as well, right?
Thank you very much. You got an early present last
night. That's right. Now, this has to go like in 10 years from now, when you're bouncing a grandchild off your knee or they're bouncing you off their knee, maybe, and they say, what was your favorite birthday gift ever? This has got to rank up there with that, maybe with that Mattel electronic football game you got back in the 70s.
Absolutely. It was definitely a historic win. It was great for the program, and I'm super excited for the kids and the opportunity they've created for themselves.
I'm always curious when we, especially this time of year, it's tough to really call final results upsets because all these teams have earned their spot. And I'm always careful because if you call a game an upset, some teams will, some coaches will be a little upset, a little rankled by that and say, we knew we were going to win. That's not an upset, blah, 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 blah. Outside of the Spartans locker room, though, there were probably very few people that thought that the green and white was going to prevail against what has become a juggernaut in what Fort Cherry has accomplished in the Matt Sieg era, which comes to an end, by the way. When somebody says or has said to you in the last 18 hours or so, what an upset or what a surprise or what a stunner, are you offended by that, or do you kind of say, yeah?
It's kind of hard to say that Fort Cherry isn't the favorite when they won it the last 2 years in a row. They were able to beat Bishop Canevin earlier in the year, which is our only loss of the season. And you start looking at all those things, it's easy to say that they were the favorite in the game. But we knew we had a good opportunity ahead with our line play, and we knew we had to be a lot more physical, be able to control the football, and limit, their running game. And we were successful in doing that, and that's what gave us the victory.
Fans of football on all levels, whether it's scholastic, collegiate, professional, they struggle with the swings, the ups and downs in a game. They panic when their favorite team, something goes against them, and they maybe celebrate too much when something goes for them. But that's the reality, especially come November football in high school, is that there are going to be ebbs and flows. What was the feeling for you personally and maybe some staff members when on their first possession, you work all week on trying to slow down? You're not going to stop, but just slow down number 3 in a red uniform in Matt Sieg. He rips one off almost 70 yards on their first drive to go up 7-0. Could not have been a very positive feeling.
It's hard to simulate that type of speed in practice, and obviously he has a different gear, a different motor, and you have him where you want him. As far as the sticks were concerned, it was a third and long play, and you knew he was getting the ball, and he was able to get a seam around that edge as you go through it. But to me, hey, it's time for us. We got to go. And the fact that we were able to take the ball and go right down the field and score ourselves, I wasn't worried at all based upon that. I felt like we were on our side of the ball, we were getting chunk after chunk of good yardage and went down the field. And I thought right there gave me a good sign that we had a great chance to win this football game.
Yeah, what a tremendous answer. And that's what really, football specifically, a lot of sports though, you take a shot in the gut or a shot to the jaw. How are you going to answer? You guys had the perfect answer, grinding out at ends with a Colton Carlson short touchdown run from 2 yards to tie the game. And again, if there were any question marks, maybe not from you, but anybody else on that Laurel bench after that Matt Sieg touchdown, it probably had to be a very positive feeling knowing, hey, you know, we're doing good stuff, especially at the line of scrimmage. We answered the call. It's even, and now let's go to work.
Absolutely. And then we were able to make a stop defensively, get the ball, go down and score right there before half. And, you know, you're feeling really good. And then we make a mistake. And next thing you know, they're up by a point going in at halftime.
Yeah. 14-13 was the halftime score. What was the discussion like, you and your staff, or you, the players, at halftime? You know, successful scoring drives, miss extra points, the difference. But it had to be a pretty positive atmosphere in that Laurel locker room.
Absolutely. We felt we let one get away there right before the half as far as allowing that kickoff return down into the red zone there. And we needed to come out and set the tone for the second half with that first drive. And the kids were positive they were going to do that. There was nobody down on themselves. Everybody was building each other up, and you could tell in the locker room that they weren't going to be denied.
You know, coaches can preach it all week long. We need to control the line of scrimmage. We need to win with our offensive line. We need, with, again, Matt Hurton, his shoulder injury really taking away, making them a little more one-dimensional than they would like. But, you know, winning the line of scrimmage, that's so important. Is that something that's been a strength of the Spartans all season long?
I believe so. We've been pretty strong up front all year. They played consistent. I thought we've played great defense all year long. Teams have had a difficult time scoring on us. And, you know, you learn a little bit from the Bishop Canevin game and things that didn't go the way we wanted. But at the same time, it was a non-league game. So we had an opportunity to see where we were at and make some adjustments from there. And, you know,
adjustments on the defensive side. I mean, you know, you mentioned the long touchdown on their first possession, the mistake in the second possession, that any major adjustments, but adjustments made to really shut them down over the last 2 quarters.
To me, it was all about gap control. Sig has the ability to make those jump cuts and moves, and if he just gets one little, and then where they got us early on was leaving all those backs around the outside and create a little bit of a seam, and that's what's got their first touchdown. And we have a couple 10th graders out there who are growing, and they're doing a tremendous job all year. But again, you rep that in practice, it's a little different come Friday night. And they responded well the rest of the game. I thought they did a tremendous to the inside, and our linebackers with Colton Carlson and Jack Miles, as well as the D-line chasing after it, I thought that did a tremendous job taking those seams away and limiting those big plays.
We hear a lot about that, especially on the professional level too, gap control. When teams get gashed on the ground, we didn't have gap control. When teams shut down other control, is that as much discipline as anything else for these young kids?
Absolutely. Even just the fact of, you know, you get up the field a little bit too far. That creates a seam enough for Sig to be able to get through there. There were a lot of 2-yard push up the field, and that's enough for him to jump cut up through that hole and break it. And you have to play 1 yard deep, keep your gap, keep control, and make sure you keep your leverage on your opponent. And again, his speed is different than what you practice against all week. But after that first series, I thought we responded well and understood what needed to be done in order to win.
And it's also trusting your teammates, right? You don't need Superman out there. If everybody's doing their job as a collective, you have the weapons, and you talked about some of them, not only at the first level, but at the second level as well, that you're going to have success as long as nobody feels they need to.
Absolutely. We preached all week. It has to be a team effort on the defense. If you try to not just do, or if you try to do more than your job, we're going to be in trouble. Everybody has to fit it together at the right spots, because any seam that you create, it's a touchdown.
Down 1, third quarter, you guys start to drive, and then Jack Miles, 33-yard touchdown run to put you guys on top for good. What was the key to that drive? What was the key to that run by Jack?
Coming out again, we knew we were getting the ball to start the half, and we wanted to make a statement, and went right down the field. Actually, that was probably our best drive of the game. The kids came out fired up and made some great holes. Jack got around the corner and had a nice block into one of the other defenders, and that created enough for him. And he's just really exploded the last couple weeks running the football for us, and did a tremendous job kicking in next gear and going 33 yards for a touchdown.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I think that's changed probably during your tenure, 12 years at Laurel, is the kicking game. And it's a pretty good soccer player, and they have a weapon. It's really almost not quite everyone, but almost everyone has that consistent kicker that you can rely on to put points on the board when you come up short in the red zone. And you guys were able to get a big up by 7 and being up by 10.
Oh, absolutely. We knew when we had the ball down there, we didn't want to do anything foolish to take away the opportunity to kick the field goal. We knew Tony has a strong leg, and that was well within his range. And, we probably take a shot on a pass on a 3rd and 5 before that. But again, we know we got the field goal opportunity. It's very important to get up by 2 scores at that moment in the game. And Tony drilled it. He had a great
I was bouncing around to the different games, but I settled in on your game for a good chunk of the especially the fourth quarter. And you guys have the ball. You guys are moving the chains, and they get a first down or 2 here. This game's going to probably be over. You get the first down, but then the ball pops loose. They recover. At that moment, what's going through your head?
Keep building them up as a team. We got to respond.
Good.
Stig made a big play on that. I thought our running back, had both hands on the ball. He was doing ball security. He just made a great play on that point. But we need you to step up, and your teammates are going to pick you up, is what I told him. And they responded well. We came back with the turnover of our own there in a couple plays. So.
Yeah, Brian Cooper, the prop, because I think it was 2 plays later.
To go back with Tony had the kick that wasn't supposed to go as deep as it did on that kickoff return. And, same thing, we talked to him at halftime. Hey, you're going to have the opportunity to make your plays. I don't need you to dwell on it. You got to push forward. Those things are going to happen. Move on. And, there he is kicking a field goal to give us the
all you young coaches, take note. You don't have to be screaming and hollering and shouting when things go wrong. Sometimes the pat on the back works better than the kick in the butt. And there's 2 examples there of mistakes by the Spartans, and could have been key mistakes, but positive attitude on on the sidelines, and the teammates rally and both make big plays down the stretch to seal the deal. Yes, that after you coughed it up 2 plays later, you run it out. They get the ball one more time and turn it over. 24-14. Just what was the feeling amongst the team afterward? It had to have been total jubilation.
I was ecstatic. I mean, you finally get over the hump. We've had a lot of good teams in the last, 10 years, and a couple that we felt could have easily competed for the WPIAL championship that ended up losing there so many times. And just to get over that, it's a great feeling, obviously. And I said it at the beginning, I'm excited for the kids. They created this opportunity. Feel very blessed to have a team like I have. We have 9 returners back, and most of them have started now for the 3rd year. And that senior leadership means a lot. They composed for this opportunity, and they created it.
Yes. I know it's a credit to the kids, but you guys deserve a little pat on the back as well. I thought it was awesome. Again, scholastic sports is more than just about the scoreboard. It's more than just about winning and losing. And I thought some great life lessons were taken when that game, when the scoreboard went double zeros. You guys, monumental victory. You're going to Acrisure Stadium. Dream for all these kids. Something that the program hasn't happened in almost 4 decades, 3.5 decades. Piling in the middle of the field or whatever. So many of your players, the couple of Fort Cherry players, the agony of defeat, they're down on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw a bunch of white jerseys helping up those red jerseys, giving them a pat on the back. Matt Sieg was besieged by white jerseys. So many players coming over about celebrating the moment. They were more worried about showing compassion to a tremendous Fort Cherry team in a tough moment for those young men. And I thought that was awesome.
Well, thank you. We preach hard about character, and we work hard on it and talking about it and hopefully living it. And that was a great example of how those kids have been in the community. A lot of people say, we just love your kids. Yeah. They're doing an awesome job and being great leaders. And we preach that a lot. Don't shame the name, No. Make sure that you're representing constantly, because once you put that.
Yeah, and they lived up to it. And again, that's a feather in you and your staff's cap. It's a feather in their parents' caps. I just thought it was strictly awesome. And again, it's one of those moments as a neutral lover of high school. I thought that was tremendous. And I wanted to make sure that I give them credit for that. Yeah, none of these kids were around the last time Laurel played in the championship. Few were around. Even maybe some of their parents weren't around. Who knows?
The parents were. Some of the coaches on my staff were on that last
right,
team.
Mr. George Miles.
Well, George was the head coach, but his son Ryan played on that team, and he's our line coach. And then his other son Casey Miles was a manager on the team. That is correct.
And Ryan is Jack's father, right? All right. He was on the 89 team or the 80 team? All right,
I know, they know.
Lost that game.
So now, they lost.
If you guys can win this, then all of a sudden Jack has bragging rights over his dad.
Absolutely, and I'm sure his dad wouldn't mind that at all.
And it'd be time. That's got to be great. When I heard that George, who again, when I first started this, he was a head coach at Laurel when I first started doing this. The great success that he had and the fact that he's still part of it, with his son on the staff and his grandson on the team. Again, it's just that's one of the great nuances of high school sports.
Absolutely, it's great to have him around, to be able to bounce ideas off of him and get his input. He's all that, and he does a tremendous job for us. He don't move so well anymore, but just to have his mind to be able to bounce things from him is, to me, I'm blessed to be able to have him on the staff.
Very few of us move well anymore that were back involved in this back in the 80s. That's for sure. The one thing I believe was the game that you guys lost to Bishop Canevin, but the one thing I took away from that was how impressed I was with the diversification of your offense. You guys are known as a power run team. You got the horses up front, and you have various backs. I know Colton Carlson has sort of stepped up and been one of the features, but you have other weapons back there as well. But unlike teams that go with the traditional full house backfield or a T formation, whatever you want to call it, you have a quarterback that can get it done too. Luca Santini's had a wonderful year, and that really gives you guys an edge. And there are so many things you could do out of various formations.
We jumped out from the T, and we were next thing in no back against Fort Cherry there, and I'm sure that caused them some problems. And we got a couple critical first downs being able to do that. So it's nice having that diversity with it, and we've got to take advantage of the opportunities that the defense is creating for us. We didn't want to just be a one-horse show. Whatever we feel is our best game plan going into it, it's what we're going to use most of the time. But at the same time, we know it creates problems for the defense, changing personnel and giving them a bunch of different things that they have to look at and prepare for.
Will you rely on Coach Miles? Will you rely on others who have been there, done that, as far as not only just getting and playing at Acrisure Stadium, but also the fact you guys being in single A will be playing the first game at others who have gone through that to try to what they need to do throughout the week to prepare, or are you guys going to develop something in-house?
I already have talked to Coach Matzo from Rochester and picked his.
All right, we froze up with Coach Cooper. He was, Coach, you were talking about how, are you looking for outside help and all of the things, even the non-football things, in preparing your team for that 11 a.m. championship game on the North Shore?
Yeah, I was saying I would talk to Coach Matzuk from Rochester, and fortunately I have a good relationship with him. Being part of the MAC Coaches Association, you get a good people to talk to, and
Sure.
He was definitely one I reached out to. And I also played in the game back in the 80s, believe it or not, in the single A. So you remember as a player some of the things that we did, but just getting them used to getting up in the morning and playing. We're talking about possibly practicing Friday morning, doing different things like that. But everything's in the early stages right now. We're just, brainstorming all the things, but there's a lot of things that got to work out to get ourselves ready. One of the big differences, you don't have as much time to warm up before the game. You can only be out on the field at 10 o'clock with the game starting at 11. And usually you're out there an hour and a half ahead of time. So that's definitely going to require some changes in how we do pregame and everything else. But it's good to be thinking about all those things and picking people's brains on it.
That's right. Because I mean, there's a lot of problems you don't think about until you have to think about it.
Yeah, they're all good problems. They're all good problems.
Back when you were playing in the 80s, you were worried about what kind of arm tape you could have to avoid the turf burn. I don't think they have to worry about that.
You have to get the old turf shoes out and all that stuff.
That's right, at Old Three Rivers.
You got it. That thing was hard.
Yes. No, you don't have to worry about that with the now what kind of shape the grass is in, who knows?
Yep.
But nonetheless, you guys will be on a better facility than I'm sure Pine Richland and Peters, the fourth game, once 8 o'clock rolls around. Early days, we're recording this on Saturday, so you probably have had very little time to dive into your opponent and the same opponent for Laurel in the last two championships of 1980 and 1989. The Clairton Bears pulled away from Bishop Canevin on Friday to secure their second straight trip to the finals. You were talking about Matt Sieg and the speed that he brings. This Clairton team is a group blessed with a lot of speed.
Yeah, we played them a couple years in the playoffs, and it didn't go well back when our kids were in 10th grade. And I know a lot of his guys were young that year too. So we're a little bit familiar with them, but at the same time, you're right. They bring a lot more speed to the table, a whole team full of speed, and they got great size up front. But, we're, again, thankful for the opportunity, and we're going to make the most out of it.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that there will be a large contingent of green and white come 11 a.m.
Absolutely.
On Saturday. I'm sure
the
school district. Yeah, I'm sure everybody is on cloud nine right now.
Yes, they are. They're fired up, and it's great. It's great for the program. It's great for the school. It's great for the community, and I'm happy for everybody involved in the program.
Yeah, I tip my cap to those teams. We got two teams, Pine Richland and Avonworth, that will be making their fourth straight trip. That is not easy to do because you're going through cycles of talent. I tip my cap to them, but man, it's really nice to see other teams that haven't been there in a while just get a taste of what it's like, because it is an awesome life memory. And these kids will remember this, win or lose, no matter what happens, 25, 30, 50 years from now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a big time kudos. 24-14 Laurel over Fort Cherry. Brian, appreciate it. Again, happy birthday. And best of wishes. I'll probably see you at the big house on Saturday.
Appreciate it, Don. Thanks again for this opportunity.
You're welcome, man. Earned. #earned. Brian Cooper, head coach of the Laurel Spartans, our WPIAL Week 12 Team of the Week. We thank Brian for joining us. We thank our friends at Edgar Snyder and Associates for sponsoring our postseason coverage, and we thank producer Chris Lackner. I'm Don Rebel. Thank you for joining us, getting ready for the WPIAL championships, 4 of them coming up on Saturday here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.